Hello, everybody, and welcome to Credible Threat Gaming. It is I, Puminal, aka Chris, here with my buddy Andrew.
Hey everybody, thanks for having me, Chris.
Indeed, sir, indeed. So, we are coming to you today with a little bit of a new situation here on Credible Threat Gaming. We were able to send Andrew out into the wild where he could go and get an interview with an indie game developer in Sanford, Florida. And he was able to talk to him about game development, about his game release, The Concourse, about his upcoming projects, and other things like that. So we're pretty excited to be bringing this to you. This will be a first for Credible Threat Gaming, so be sure to comment down below how you like this segment. But getting into it, Andrew, how was the experience overall?
It was a really good experience. I had the pleasure of meeting Alvin and with his company A&B Studios. Really friendly guy, just overall great, man. It was an enjoyable conversation with him. Very interactive with the audience there. So it was a good experience. The game was fun, with the group there. I think they did pretty well.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad it was a good time. I'm glad Alvin was a super nice guy to talk to. Let's go ahead and talk about your experience talking to Alvin and, what got him into, game producing and the audience that he did and any inspiration that he may have had. So how did he get started in game production?
Sure. So I'm going to share a story. It's a personal story. I hope he didn't get upset, but he's going to have to deal with it because I'm going to do it anyways. He had a car accident back in 2007 that it basically was a bit of an awakening experience for him. He kind of had that, I could have died, I think some of us had an experience like that, and he's like, well, what am I doing with myself? Wasn't happy in like the basic kind of work life like a lot of us tend to do, just a 9 to 5 grind, and you just go to live for the weekends. And he's like, dude, I want to do something with myself. I want to make a mark on this world. So that's kind of what really got it started for him. He went to school. He went to day school actually there in by Universal
Studios, Orlando, Florida.
Correct. Yeah, Universal Studios, Orlando, Florida. Studied like game development, stuff like that there. And he ended up starting the company with his cousin Brian that lives in New York. And they founded the company officially in September of 2015.
Okay, so not even that long ago, really.
Yeah, technically not. But I mean, obviously they were working on little things, piecing stuff together years before that. But officially, legally speaking, 2015.
Well, that's not too bad at all. That sounds really cool. So you said that this was his cousin, and you had mentioned something to me earlier that his cousin actually doesn't live in the state of Florida. Is that right?
Yeah, so he lives in New York, which I questioned him on this too, because I thought it was absolutely bizarre that he could live basically across the country like that, and they still get a quality working relationship. That's tough. You feel like you got to meet together at some point.
Oh, of course.
Right up to him, and he's like, didn't have any negative. He didn't mention it was even tough. It seemed like it was just so regular and so easy for them. For whatever reason, they had a good connection, and they were able to do what they need to do via whatever media outlet they choose to talk over. But they just send stuff to each other, and it works just fine. He said they didn't even meet it hardly at all, if at all. So that's incredible they make that work, because I can't imagine it being as easy.
No way. No way. It's really interesting when you think about it that, he's able to have a business with his brother who lives nowhere near him, how he's basically new to the world of game development. He has gone to school for it, but at the same time, it wasn't that long ago that he went to school. And yet he was still able to put out a product like The Concourse. I mean, it's been published on Steam. It's a real legitimate game. You can have multiplayers. There's servers. I mean, that's really impressive that he could do all that in such a short period of time.
Well, I mean, if that doesn't speak on two things here. One, his work ethic and his relationship with his cousin. Because he said they were really close. And so that probably dramatically helps. that situation because they're able to communicate on different levels than just your average business partner. And two, just the world we live in, that we can run a whole business basically across the country without really any hiccups. It's really cool that we can do that as a society now.
Yeah, that is really incredible. I think it could give a lot of people hope out there who, may not necessarily live near one another. I mean, very similar to like you and I trying to run this channel here. You being down in Florida and me in Alabama, it makes a huge difference.
Right.
It makes it a lot,
Yeah.
It's cool.
Kind of gives you some hope, man.
Exist. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. For sure. It's really cool. Yeah. It's really cool. So tell me a little bit about the concourse experience there. You guys were at Smash Comics, is that right?
Yeah, so we were at Smash Comics, a little comic book shop there that was running the preview. I had played this prior to going in, but I'd only played it by myself. Oh, I went in there, and there was a group of guys playing. I jumped right in. It was definitely at its best in multiplayer. But they originally got the idea for Concourse back in 2013, and it really has been their baby in sorts. They've been working on it, constantly adding to it. Something I noted from him, he was just really, really receptive to other people's ideas. There was no such thing as a bad idea. He wrote almost everything down that someone came up with, and I think that's probably why it was received so well. Because I mean, the people who were playing there, man, they liked it. They're like, I gotta get this game. They really enjoyed it. It reminded me very similar to like a party game, like where you'd play, on your couch with your buddies, and get a little crazy, especially if there's some beers back,
Of course.
Right. That always makes every game better.
Oh, you and I both know that.
But he did mention it was really important to him that he remained true to himself in the sense of he didn't like the current game market, the way it works now, where you buy a game for $60 and it's such an empty game, and you have to go and buy loads of DLCs to actually get a full game. And he thought that maybe the more games he made, that idea might go away, but he said it actually reinforced it, and that's one of the things he's most passionate about with Concourse and future games, is to make a solid, complete game for a good value, as opposed to just, cash cow just for the profit.
Yeah, I think most gamers could get behind that.
Yeah.
I know that I've bought very, very limited amounts of DLC in my lifetime, really. Besides The Division, I can't think of anything where I bought something besides like a Game of the Year edition later on down the line where I actually specifically bought the DLC with the intention of playing it.
Agreed. Yeah, and that's what you want to see anyways from indie developers, because they're really the ones that are tailoring their stuff to, us. And I think he's doing that.
Right. Well, going back, you actually had mentioned, him being receptive to ideas, and you had told me a story about some of the power-ups that he added to the game. Can you go ahead and tell that to the audience?
Yeah. So there was a particular power-up, and I don't remember exactly what it was called now, but it was an idea that when he was at one of these conventions, he had shown it, and someone said, hey, let's do this. It was where, you got hit with a power-up, and you go flying in the air, enormous, like, and he's like, well, you know what? He's thinking to himself, that this doesn't really make a ton of sense and with the game I'm trying to create here, but I'm gonna write it down and see if I can make it work. And he ended up putting the game, and he told me, dude, everyone loved it. He's like, it just it was funny, got up there, got everyone interested and excited, and that kind of shows you, where his head's at on his games, because he wants to create a game that's for the gamers and not just whatever he wants to do, and you're gonna buy it because I said you're gonna buy it, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Which is great, and then, like I said, that's what we want to see from indie game developers.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of takeaways, during your interview process there that you can kind of apply to just about anybody who's coming into the indie space. The fact that you can start really at any time. You don't necessarily have had to have, the basics of indie development right from the get-go. At any point in time, you can kind of just decide at one point that this is what I want to do, and I want to pursue this, and so long as you have the passion to do it, that you can actually succeed at that. and actually release a game. I mean, clearly this is the Concourse. It may not turn out to be a AAA title that's going to go on to sell a million copies or anything, but at the same time, it's a lot better than any game that I've produced anytime recently.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It's fairly impressive. I mean, the game runs, it turns on. I mean, there's been games reviewed on IGN that didn't even make it that far. So when you think of just how bad some games make it all the way to store shelves, his game works and it's a lot of fun.
Only 2 people.
Yeah, well, and with only 2 people, and they're not even working close to one another, which is great. Another thing that you could take away from the indie developer standpoint is obviously that being receptive to ideas just gives you the opportunity to build the game that everybody wants to buy. You know what I mean? Like, by you being open to changes and edits and things like that, it may be a little bit more time-consuming, but, people are just willing to give you this free information that you can take and use however you see fit. It's really impressive that, that existed, that happened with this particular game. I can vouch that I've actually played the game and have used that, super jump mechanic or whatever, and it is a lot of fun. When you get launched into the air, it makes a huge difference. It's really something unexpected, and it's a lot of fun in there. So it's cool that, just listening to things that people say and paying attention to your fan base can make such a big difference. I know that, like, for instance, Yacht Club Games does the same thing with their Shovel Knight series, too, where they added a ton of free DLC, so going on the same kind of basic premise that Alvin is over at A&B Games.
Man.
You can release free DLC and it not necessarily be a detriment to the game overall or whatever. You know what I mean? You can just release it and make fans happy. That it doesn't always have to have a profit motive involved in that. So
I just want to go real quick back to something you mentioned about getting started with game development. There was a particular gamer there that was playing the game, and he had mentioned to Alvin that he was wanting to get into game development. He had told him, he's like, if there's one good thing and advice that I can tell you to get into game development, he was like, is to just finish something. Pick a little project, as small as it may be, just see it all the way through. That way if if it's something you really want to do or not. And that one kind of resonated with me a bit because, and I don't think I've ever told you this, but back in early high school, I had briefly started trying to do some very, very basic game development, and I remember that I would make like the first 10% of a game, and I'd learn something new, and I'd be like, dude, I want to go make something different. Like, I got a better idea now, and I would just keep doing that to where I had nothing ever completed, and just lost interest, and nothing ever came of it. And so that's what really kind of hit home with me, because it just was great advice, and he was really so willing to help me, gave the guy a card. He was like, hey man, if you even say how do I do this for game development, just send it my way. It might take me a little bit to get back to it, but I want to get back to you. And he's just really helpful, man. Really like the guy.
That's super cool. Well, so kind of wrapping things up here. So as we've mentioned multiple times throughout the stream, this is the Concourse. This particular copy that I have, I did get for free from A&B Game Studios, from Alvin himself. It was actually about 6 months ago, so it's kind of unrelated, but at the same time, I definitely want to be clear that I did get this game for free. However, I would say that at the $10 price tag on the Steam store, if you've got 4 friends that can play this, it is a lot of fun. It is totally worth your investment. You should go to Steam right now and pick it up. You will get $10 worth of enjoyment out of it, so I can pretty much guarantee that. So, should you enjoy 4-player party games and you've got a group of 4 that you guys can get together and play this stuff, you definitely should give it a chance, because it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, absolutely agree. Second that. So go ahead and grab it, man. Like I said, 4 players, that's where it's at its best. And I would also recommend Bomber Mode. That was what everyone's favorite was at the store. So give that one a try.
Awesome. Well, I want to spend a special thank you to Alvin over at A&B Game Studios. Really appreciate him giving us the time to chat this weekend. Also, special shout out to Smash Comics up in Sanford, Florida for hosting the event. So if you happen to be in the area, go ahead and give them some patronage love as well. I'm sure they'd really appreciate it. This has been Chris and Andrew of Credible Threat Gaming, signing off from the Concourse stream and interview.
Peace out.